The Apocalypse of Abraham. The book of the revelation of Abraham, the son of Terah, the son of Nahor, the son of Serug, the son of Reu, the son of Arphaxad, the son of Shem, the son of Noah, the son of Lamech, the son of Methuselah, the son of Enoch, the son of Arad. On the day when I was guarding the gods of my father Terah and the gods of Nahor his brother, when I was searching as to who the mighty God in truth is, I, Abraham, at the time when it fell to my lot, when I fulfilled the sacrifices of my father Terah to his gods of wood and stone, gold and silver, brass and iron, having entered into their temple for service, I found the God whose name was Merimoth, which was hewn out of stone, fallen forward at the feet of the iron god Nahon. And it came to pass when I saw it, my heart was perplexed, and I considered in my mind that I should not be able to bring him back to his place, I, Abraham, alone, because he was heavy, being of a large stone. And I went forth and made it known to my father. And he entered with me, and when both of us moved him forward, so that he might bring him back to his place, his head fell from him while I was holding him by the head. And it came to pass, when my father saw that the head of Merimoth had fallen from him, he said to me, Abraham. And I said, Here am I. And he said to me, Bring me an axe of the small ones from the house. And I brought it to him. And he hewed aright another Merimoth out of another stone, without head, and the head which had been thrown down from Merimoth he placed upon it, and the rest of Merimoth he shattered. And he made 5 other gods, and gave them to me, and commanded me to sell them outside in the street of the town. And I saddled my father's ass, and placed them upon it, and went towards the inn to sell them. And lo, merchants from Vandana in Syria were traveling with camels, going to Egypt to trade, and I spoke with them. And one of their camels uttered a groan, and the ass took fright, and sprang away, and upset the gods. And 3 of them were smashed, and 2 were preserved. And it came to pass, when the Syrians saw that I had gods, they said to me, Why didst thou not tell us that thou hadst gods? Then we would have bought them before the ass heard the sound of the camel, and they would not have been lost. Give us at any rate the gods that remain, and we will give thee the proper price for the broken gods, also for the gods that have been preserved. For I was concerned in my heart as to how I could bring to my father the purchase price, and the 3 broken ones I cast into the water of the river Gur, which was at that place. And they sank into the depths, and there was nothing more of them. When I was still going on the way, my heart was perplexed within me, and my mind was distracted. And I said in my heart, What evil deed is this that my father is doing? Is not he rather the God of his gods, since they come into existence through his chisels and lathes, and his wisdom? And is it not rather fitting that they should worship my father, since they are his work? What is this delusion of my father in his works? Behold, Merimoth fell and could not rise in his own temple, nor could I, by myself, move him until my father came. And the 2 of us moved him. And as we were thus too weak, his head fell from him, and he set it upon another stone of another god, which he had made without head. And the other 5 gods were broken in pieces, falling down from the ass, which were able neither to help themselves nor to hurt the ass, because it had broken them to pieces, nor did their broken fragments come up out of the river. And I said in my heart, If this be so, how can Merimoth, my father's god, having the head of another stone, and himself being made of another stone, rescue a man, or hear a man's prayer and reward him? And while I cogitated thus, I reached my father's house, and having watered the ass and set out hay for it, I brought the silver and gave it into the hand of my father Terah. When he saw it, he was glad, and he said, Blessed art thou, Abraham, of my gods, because thou hast brought the price of the gods, so that my work was not in vain. And I answered and said to him, Hear, O my father Terah, blessed are the gods of thee, for thou art their God, since thou hast made them. For their blessing is ruination, and their power is vain. They who did not help themselves, how shall they then help thee or bless me? I have been kind to thee in this affair, because by using my intelligence I have brought thee the money for the broken gods. And when he heard my word, he became furiously angry with me, because I had spoken hard words against his gods. I, however, having thought over my father's anger, went out, and after I had gone out, my father cried, saying, Abraham! And I said, Here am I. And he said, Take, and collect the splinters of the wood, out of which I made gods of pine wood before thou camest, and make ready for me the food of the midday meal. And it came to pass, when I collected the splinters of wood, I found under them a little god which had been lying among the brushwood on my left, and on his forehead was written, God Beresat. And I did not inform my father that I had found the wooden god Beresat under the chips. And it came to pass, when I had laid the splinters in the fire, in order that I might make ready food for my father, on going out to ask a question regarding the food, I placed Beresat before the kindled fire, saying threateningly to him, Pay careful attention, Beresat, that the fire do not die down until I come. If, however, it dieth down, blow on it, that it may burn up again. And I went out and accomplished my purpose. And on returning, I found Beresat fallen backwards, and his feet surrounded by fire, and horribly burnt. I burst into a fit of laughter, and said to myself, Truly, O Beresat, thou canst kindle the fire and cook food. And it came to pass, while I spake thus in my laughter, Beresat was gradually burnt up by the fire, and reduced to ashes. And I brought the food to my father, and he did eat. And I gave him wine and milk, and he was gladdened, and blessed his god Merrimath. And I said to him, O father Terah, bless not thy god Merrimath, and praise him not, but rather praise thy god Beresat, because in loving thee more, he has cast himself into the fire to cook thy food. And he said to me, And where is he now? And I said, He is burnt to ashes in the violence of the fire, and is reduced to dust. And he said, Great is the power of Beresat. I will make another today, and tomorrow he will prepare my food. When I, Abraham, however, heard such words from my father, I laughed in my mind, and sighed in the grief and in the anger of my soul, and said, How then can that which is made by him, manufactured statues, be a helper of my father? Or how shall the body then be subject to its soul, and the soul to the spirit, and the spirit to folly and ignorance? And I said, It is fitting once to endure evil. So I will direct my mind to what is pure, and lay my thoughts open before him. And I answered and said, O father Terah, whichever of these thou praisest as a god, thou art foolish in thy mind. Behold, the gods of thy brother Orah, which stand in the holy temple, are more worthy of honor than these of thine. For behold, Zuchius, the god of thy brother Oran, is more worthy of honor than thy god Merrimath, because he is made of gold, which is highly valued by people. And when he groweth old in years, he will be remodeled. But if your god Merrimath is changed or broken, he will not be renewed, because he is a stone. The which is also the case with the god Jehovah, which standeth with Zuchius over the other gods. How much more worthy of honor is he than the god Beresat, who is made of wood, while he is forged of silver? How is he made, by adaptation of men, valuable to outward appearance? But thy God, Beresat, while he was still, before he had been prepared, rooted up upon the earth, and was great and wonderful, with the glory of branches and blossom. Thou didst hew out with the axe, and by means of thy art he hath been made into a god. And lo, his fatness is already withered and perished. He is fallen from the height to the ground. He hath come from great estate to littleness, and the appearance of his countenance hath vanished. And he, Beresat himself, is burnt up by fire, and reduced to ashes, and is no more. And thou sayest, Today I will make another, which tomorrow shall make ready my food. He hath perished to utter destruction. Behold, the fire is more worthy of honor than all things formed, because even that which is not subjected is subjected unto it, and things easily perishable are mocked by its flames. But even more worthy of honor is the water, because it conquereth the fire, and satisfieth the earth. But even it I do not call God, because it is subjected to earth, under which the water inclineth. But I call the earth much more worthy of honor, because it overpowereth the nature and the fullness of the water. Even it, however, I do not call God, because it too is dried up by the sun, and is apportioned to man to be tilled. I call the sun more worthy of honor than the earth, because it with its rays illumineth the whole world, and the different atmospheres. And even it I do not call God, because at night and by clouds its course is obscured. Nor again do I call the moon or the stars God, because they also in their season obscure their light at night. But hear this, Terah, my father, for I will make known to thee the God who hath made everything, not these we consider as gods. Who then is he, or what is he? Who hath crimsoned the heavens, and made the sun golden, and the moon lustrous, and with it the stars, and hath made the earth dry in the midst of many waters, and set thee in, and tested me in the confusion of my thoughts. Yet may God reveal himself to us through himself. And it came to pass, while I spoke thus to my father Terah in the court of my house, there cometh down the voice of a mighty one from heaven, in a fiery cloudburst, saying and crying, Abraham, Abraham! And I said, Here am I. And he said, Thou art seeking in the understanding of the heart of the God of gods and the Creator. I am he. Go out from thy father Terah, and get thee out from the house, that thou also be not slain in the sins of thy father's house. And I went out. And it came to pass, when I went out, that before I succeeded in getting out in front of the door of the court, there came a sound of a great thunder, and burnt him and his house, and everything whatsoever in his house, down to the ground, 40 cubits. Then a voice came to me, speaking twice, Abraham, Abraham. And I said, Here I am. And he said, Behold, it is I. Fear not, for I am with you. For I am before the ages, even the mighty God who created the first light of the world. I am your shield and your helper. Go, take me a young heifer of 3 years, and a she-goat of 3 years, and a ram of 3 years, a turtle-dove and a pigeon, and bring me a pure sacrifice. And in this sacrifice I will lay before you the ages to come, and make known to you what is reserved, and you shall see great things that you have not hitherto seen, because you have loved to search me out, and I have named you my beloved. But abstain from every form of food that comes forth out of the fire, and from the drinking of wine, and from anointing yourself with oil for 40 days, and then set forth for me the sacrifice which I have commanded you, in a place which I will show you on a high mountain. And there I will show you the ages which have been created and established by my word. And I will make known to you what shall come to pass in them on those who have done evil and righteousness in the generations of men. And it came to pass, when I heard the voice of him who spoke such words to me, and I looked here and there, and found no breath in me, and my spirit was frightened, and my soul seemed as departed from me, for I fell down as a stone, as a dead man upon the earth, and had no more strength to stand. And while I was thus lying with my face towards the earth, I heard the voice of the Holy One speaking, Go, Jael, and by means of my ineffable name raise up yonder man and strengthen him, so that he recovers from his trembling. And the angel whom he had sent came to me in the likeness of a man, and grasped me by my right hand, and set me up upon my feet, and said to me, Stand up, Abraham, friend of God who loves you. Let not the trembling of man seize you, for lo, I have been sent to you to strengthen you and to bless you in the name of God, who loves you, the Creator of the celestial and the terrestrial. Be fearless and hasten to him. I am called Jaoel by him who moves those who exist with me on the seventh expanse over the heavens, a power in virtue of the ineffable name that is dwelling in me. I am the one who has been given to restrain, according to his commandment, the threatening attacks of the living ones of the cherubim against one another, and to teach those who carry him the song of the seventh hour of the night of man. I am ordered to restrain the Leviathan, for every single attack and menace of every single reptile are subject unto me. I am he who has been commissioned to loosen Hades, and destroy him who stares at the dead. I have been sent to bless you now, and the land which the Eternal One, whom you have invoked, has prepared for you, and for your sake I have wended my way upon earth. Stand up, Abraham. Go without fear. Be right glad and rejoice, and I am with you. For age-lasting honor has been prepared for you by the Eternal One. Go, fulfill the sacrifices commanded. For lo, I have been appointed to be with you, and with the generations that will spring from you. And with me, Michael blesses you forever. Be of good cheer, and go. And I rose up and saw him who had grasped me by the right hand and set me upon my feet. And the appearance of his body was like sapphire, and the look of his countenance like chrysolite, and the hair of his head like snow, and the turban on his head like the appearance of the rainbow. And the clothing of his garments was like purple, and a golden scepter was in his right hand. And he said to me, Abraham. And I said, Here I am, your servant. And he said, Let not my appearance frighten you, nor my speech, that your soul be not troubled. Come with me, and I will be with you, visible until the sacrifice, but after the sacrifice, always invisible. Be of good cheer, and come. And we went, the two of us together, for 40 days and nights. And I ate no bread, and drank no water, because my food and my drink was to see the angel who was with me, and to hear his speech. And we came to the mount of God, Mount Horeb, and I said to the angel, Singer of the Eternal One, I have no sacrifice with me, nor am I aware of the place of an altar on the mountain. How can I bring a sacrifice? And he said to me, Look around you. And when I looked around, there, following us, were all the prescribed animals, the young heifer, the she-goat, the ram, the turtle-dove, and the pigeon. And the angel said to me, Abraham. And I said, Here am I. And he said, Slaughter all these animals, and divide them into halves, the one against the other, but do not sever the birds. And give these to the men whom I will show you, standing by you. For these are the altar upon the mountain, to offer a sacrifice to the Eternal. But the turtle-dove and the pigeon give to me, for I will ascend upon the wings of the bird, so that you may be able to see in heaven, and upon earth, and in the sea, and in the abyss, and in the underworld, and in the Garden of Eden, and in its rivers, and in the fullness of the whole world and its circle. You shall gaze into them all. And I did everything according to the command of the angel. And I gave the angels who had come to us the divided animals, but the angel Jaoel took the birds. And I waited until the evening sacrifice. And there flew an unclean bird down upon the carcasses, and I drove it away. And the unclean bird spoke to me and said, Abraham, what are you doing upon these holy heights, where no man eats or drinks, nor is there upon them the food of man, but these heavenly beings consume everything with fire, and will burn you up. Forsake the man who is with you, and flee, for if you ascend into the heights, they will make an end of... And it came to pass, when I saw the bird speak, I said to the angel, What is this, my lord? And he said, This is ungodliness. This is Azazel. And he said to it, Disgrace upon you, Azazel, for Abraham's lot is in heaven, but yours is upon the earth. Because you have chosen and loved this for the dwelling place of your uncleanness, therefore the eternal, mighty Lord made you to be a dweller upon the earth. And through you every evil spirit of lies, and through you wrath and trials for the generations of ungodly men. For God, the eternal, mighty one, has not permitted that the bodies of the righteous should be in your hand, in order that thereby the life of the righteous and the destruction of the unclean may be assured. Hear this, my friend, and be gone with shame from me, for it has not been given to you to play the tempter in regard to all the righteous. Depart from this man, you cannot lead him astray. He is an enemy to you, and to those who follow you and love what you desire. For behold, the vesture which in heaven was formerly yours has been set aside for him, and the mortality which was his has been transferred to you. And the angel said to me, Know that from henceforth the Eternal One has chosen you. Be of good courage, and use this authority so far as I bid you, against him who slanders the truth. Should I not be able to put him to shame that has scattered over the earth the secrets of heaven, and has rebelled against the Mighty One? Say to him, Become the burning coal of the furnace of the earth. Go, Azazel, into the inaccessible parts of the earth, for your heritage is to be over those who are with you, the ones brought forth with the stars and clouds, and with the men whose portion you are, even those who exist on account of your being. Justification shall be your enemy. Now depart from me by your perdition. And I uttered the words that the angel taught me. And then the angel said to me, Answer him not, for God has given him power over those who answer him. And the angel spoke to me again, saying, However much he speak to you, answer him not, in order that he may have no free access to you, because the Eternal One has given him weight and will in this respect. And I did that which was commanded me by the angel, and no matter how much he spoke to me, I answered him nothing whatever. And it came to pass when the sun went down, behold, there was the smoke as of a furnace, and the angels who had the portions of the sacrifice ascended from the top of the smoking furnace. And the angel took me with his right hand, and set me upon the right wing of the pigeon, and set himself on the left wing of the turtle-dove, neither of which birds had been slaughtered. And he bore me to the borders of the flaming tree, and we ascended upon many winds to the heavens which were above the firmament. And I saw in the air on the heights to which we ascended a strong light impossible to describe, and within the light a fiercely burning fire of people, many people, of male appearance, all constantly changing in aspect and form, running and being transformed, and worshipping and crying with a sound of words that I could not recognize. And I said to the angel, Why have you now brought me up here? Because my eyes cannot now see distinctly, and I am growing weak, and my spirit is departing from me. And he said to me, Remain close by me, and do not fear, for the one whom you cannot see is now coming towards us, with a great voice of holiness, even the Eternal One who loves you. But you yourself cannot see him. But you must not allow your spirit to grow faint on account of the choirs of those who cry out, for I am with you to strengthen you. And while he was thus speaking, fire came all about us, and there was a voice within the fire like the sound of many waters, like the sound of the sea in violent motion. And I desired to fall down there and worship. And I saw the angel who was with me bowed his head and worshipped. But the surface of the high place where I seemed to be standing changed its inclination constantly, rolling as the great waves on the surface of the sea. And the angel said, Worship, Abraham, and utter the song which I shall now teach you. Utter it without ceasing, that is, without pause, in one continuous strain from beginning to end. And the song which he taught me to sing had words appropriate to that sphere in which we then stood. For each sphere in heaven has its own song of praise, and only those who dwell there know how to utter it, and those upon earth cannot know or utter it except they be taught by the messengers of heaven. And the words of the song were of this import and signification: Eternal, mighty, holy, El, God only supreme. You are the self-originated, the beginningless one, incorruptible, spotless, uncreated, immaculate, immortal, self-complete, self-illuminating, without father, without mother, unbegotten, exalted, fiery one, lover of men, benevolent one, bountiful one, jealous over me, and very compassionate, Eli, my God, eternal Jehovah, Zaboath, very glorious, El, 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 Jael. You are the one whom my soul has loved, eternal protector, shining like fire, whose voice is like thunder, whose look is as the lightning. You are the all-seeing one, who receives the prayers of all such as honor you, and turn away the requests of those who embarrass you with their provocations, who dissolves the confusions of the world which arise from the ungodly and the righteous mixed up in the confusion of the corruptible age, and renewing the age of the righteous. Shine, Lord, shine as a light, even as that light with which you clothed yourself on the first day of creation. Shine as the light of the morning on your creatures, and let it be day upon earth. For in these heavenly dwelling places there is no need of any other light than the unspeakable splendor from the light of your countenance. O answer my prayer, be well pleased with it. O accept my sacrifice which you have prepared for me to offer. Accept me favorably, and show me, teach me all that you have promised. And while I was still reciting the song, the mouth of the fire that was on the surface rose up on high, and I heard a voice like the roaring of the sea, nor did it cease on account of the rich abundance of the fire. And as the fire raised itself up, ascending into the heights, I saw under the fire a throne of fire, and round about it the watchfulness of many eyes, even the all-seeing ones reciting their song. And under the throne 4 fiery living ones singing, and their appearance was one, and each one had 4 faces. And such was the appearance of their countenance, that each one had the face of a lion, a man, an ox, and an eagle. And because of their 4 heads upon their body, they had 16 faces, and each one had 3 pairs of wings, from their shoulders, from their sides, and from their loins. And with the wings from the shoulders they covered their faces, and with the wings of their loins they covered their feet, while the 2 middle wings were spread out for flying straight forward. And it came to pass that when they had ended their singing, they looked at one another, and threatened one another. And it came to pass that when the angel who was with me saw that they were threatening one another, he left me and went running to them, and turned the countenance of each one away from the countenance immediately facing him, in order that they might not look upon each other. And he began to teach them the song of peace that had its origin in the Eternal One. And as I stood alone and looked, I saw behind the living ones a chariot with fiery wheels. Each wheel was full of eyes round about, and over the wheels was the throne which I had seen, and which was covered with fire. And the fire encircled it round about. And behold, an indescribable fire contained the mighty fiery host, and I heard its holy voice like a voice of a man. And a voice came to me out of the midst of the fire, saying, Abraham, Abraham. And I answered, saying, Here am I. And he said, Consider the expanses which are under the firmament of the 7th heavenly sphere on which you are now placed, and see how on no single expanse there is any other than the one whom you have sought, even the one who loves you. And while he was yet speaking, the expanses opened, and there below me were the heavens. And I saw upon the seventh firmament upon which I stood a fire widely extended, and the light which is the treasury of life, and the dew with which God will awaken the dead, and the spirits of the departed righteous, and the spirits of those souls who have yet to be born, and judgment, and righteousness, peace and blessing, and an innumerable company of angels, and the living ones, and the power of the invisible glory that sat above the living ones. And I looked downwards from the mountains on which I stood to the sixth firmament, and there I saw a multitude of angels of pure spirit, without bodies, whose duty was to carry out the commands of the fiery angels who were upon the seventh firmament, as I was standing suspended over them. And behold, upon this sixth firmament there were no other powers of any form, save only the angels of pure spirit. And he commanded that the sixth firmament should be removed from my sight. And I saw there on the fifth firmament the powers of the stars that carry out the commands laid upon them, and the elements of the earth obeyed them. And the eternal, mighty one said to me, Abraham, Abraham. And I said, Here am I. And he said to me, Consider from above the stars which are beneath you, and number them for me, and make known to me their number. And I said, How can I? For I am but a man of the dust of the earth. And he said to me, As the number of the stars and their power, so will I make your seed a nation and a people set apart for me for my own inheritance, as distinct from that of Azazel. And yet I include Azazel in my house. And I said, Eternal, mighty one, let your servant speak before you, and let not your anger be kindled against your chosen one. For lo, before I am come up hither, Azazel inveighed against me. How then, while he is not now before you, can you constitute yourself with him? And he said to me, Look now beneath your feet at the firmaments, and understand the creation represented and foreshadowed in this expanse, the creatures who exist upon it, and the ages prepared for it. And I saw beneath the surface of my feet, even beneath the sixth heaven that was therein, and then the earth and its fruits, and what moved upon it, and its animate beings, and the power of its men, and the ungodliness of some of its souls, and the righteous deeds of other souls. And I saw the lower regions, and the perdition therein, the abyss and its torments. And I saw the sea and its islands, its monsters and its fishes, and Leviathan and his dominion, his camping ground and his caves, and the world that lay above him, his movements, and the destructions of the world on his account. And I saw there the streams and the rivers, and the rising of their waters, and the windings in their courses. And I saw the Garden of Eden and its fruits, the source of the river that issues from it, the trees and their blossoms, and the ones who behaved righteously. And I saw therein their foods and their blessedness. And I saw there a great multitude, men and women and children, half of them on the right side of the vision, and half of them on the left side of the vision. And I said, Eternal, mighty one, what is this vision and picture of the creatures? And he said to me, This is my will for those who exist in the divine world council, for thus it seemed well-pleasing in my sight. And so afterwards I gave commandment to them through my word. And so it came to pass that whatever I had determined to be was already planned beforehand in this picture vision before you. And it has stood before me before it was created, as you have seen. And I said, Lord, mighty and eternal, who are the people in this picture on this side and that? And he said to me, Those who are on the left side are all those born before your day and afterwards, some destined for judgment and restoration, and others for vengeance and cutting off at the end of the age. But those on the right side of the picture, they are the people who have been set apart for me, and whom I have ordained to be born of your line and called my people, even some of those who derive from Azazel. Now look again in the picture, and see who it is who seduced Eve, and what is the fruit of the tree, and you will know what is to be, and how it shall be with your seed among the people at the end of the days of the age. And all that you cannot understand, I will make known to you, for you are well-pleasing in my sight, and I will tell you of those things which are kept in my heart. And I looked into the picture, and my eyes ran to the side of the Garden of Eden, and I saw there a man of imposing height, and mighty in stature, incomparable in aspect, and he was embracing a woman, who likewise approximated to the aspect of his size and stature. And they were standing under a tree of the Garden of Eden, and the fruit of this tree was like a bunch of grapes of the vine. And standing behind the tree was one who had the aspect of a serpent, having hands and feet like those of a man, and wings on its shoulders, 6 pairs of wings, so that there were 6 wings on the right and 6 on the left. And as I continued looking, I saw the man and the woman eating the fruit from the tree. And I said, Who are these who are embracing, and who is the one between them who is behind the tree, and what is the fruit that they are eating? And he said, This is the counsel of the world. This one is Adam, and this one, who is their desire upon the earth, is Eve. But he who is between them represents ungodliness, and their beginnings on the way to perdition, even Azazel. And I said, Eternal, mighty one, why have you given such as him the power to destroy the generations of men in their works upon the earth? And he said to me, Those who will do evil, and how much I hate it in those who do it, over them I gave him power, even to the beloved of them. And I answered and said, Eternal, mighty one, wherefore is it your will that evil should be desired in the hearts of men, since you are indeed angered over that which you see? It is your will, and you are angry with him who is doing what is unprofitable in your counsel? And he said to me, I am angered by mankind on your account, and on account of those who shall be of your family hereafter. For as you can see in the picture, the burden of destiny is placed upon them. And I shall tell you what shall be, and how much shall be in the last days. Now look at everything in the picture. And I looked and saw what was before me in creation. I saw Adam and Eve with him, and I saw the cunning adversary, and Cain, who acted lawlessly through the promptings of the adversary. And I saw the slaughtered Abel, and the destruction brought about and caused upon him through the lawless one. And I saw impurity, and those who lust after it, and its pollution, and their jealousies, and the fire of their corruption in the lowest parts of the earth. And I saw theft, and those who hasten after it, and the arrangement of their retribution at the judgment of the great assize. And I saw there naked men with their foreheads against each other, and their disgrace, and the passions which they had for each other, and their retribution. And I saw desire, and in her hand the head of every kind of lawlessness, and her scorn and contempt and waste assigned to perdition. And I saw there the likeness of the idol of jealousy, carved in woodwork, such as my father was wont to make, and its body was of glittering bronze that covered the wood. And before it I saw a man who was worshipping the idol, and in front of him there was an altar, and upon the altar a boy slain in the presence of the idol. And I said to him, What is this idol and this altar, and who is he who is sacrificed? And what is this great building which I see, beautiful in art and design, even with a beauty like that which lies beneath your throne? And he said, Hear, Abraham, for that which you see is the temple, a copy of that which is in the heavens, glorious in its aspect and beauty, even as I shall give it to the sons of men to ordain a priesthood for my glorious name, and in which the prayers of man shall be uttered, and sacrifices offered as I ordain to your people, even those who shall arise out of your generation. But the idol that you saw is the image of jealousy, set up by some of those who shall come forth from your own loins in later days. And the man who sacrifices in murder is he who pollutes my temple, and such are the witnesses to the final judgment, and their lot has been set from the beginning of creation. And I said, Eternal, mighty one, why have you established that it should be so, and then proclaimed the knowledge thereof? And he said to me, Hear, Abraham, and understand what I say to you, and answer my question. Why did your father Terah not listen to your voice? And why did he not cease from his idolatrous practices, together with his whole house? And I said, O Eternal One, it was entirely because he did not choose to listen to my voice, and likewise I did not choose to listen to his counsel. And he said to me, The will of your father is within him, and your own will is within you, and so also the counsel of my own will is within me, and is ready for the coming days, even before you have any knowledge of them, or can see with your eyes what is the future of them. Now, look again into the picture, and see how it will be with your seed. And I looked and saw, and behold, the picture swayed from it and emerged on the left side an ungodly people, and they pillaged those who were on the right side, men, women, and children, and some they murdered, and others they kept as slaves. And I saw them run towards them through 4 entrances, and they burned the temple with fire, and the holy things that were therein were all plundered. And I said, Eternal One, behold, the people who shall spring from me, and whom you have accepted, are plundered by these ungodly men, and some are killed, whilst others they hold captives as slaves. And the temple they have burned with fire, and the beautiful things therein they have robbed and destroyed. If this is to be, why have you so torn my heart? And he said to me, What you have seen shall happen on account of your seed, even those who anger me by reason of the idol statue which you saw, and on account of the human sacrifice in the picture, through their evil zeal and schemes in the temple, and as you saw it, so shall it be. And I said, Eternal, mighty one, may these works of evil wrought in ungodliness now pass by, and rather show me those who fulfill the commandments, even the works of righteousness, for of a truth you can do this. And he said to me, The days of the righteous are seen in types by the lives of those righteous rulers who shall arise, and whom I have created to rule at the times appointed. But know this, that out of them shall rise others who care only for their own interests, even of the type that I have already shown you. And I answered and said, Mighty One, hallowed be your prayer. Be favorable to my petition and show me, because for this reason you have brought me up here, whether what I saw shall happen to them for a long time. And he showed me a multitude of his people and said to me, On their account, through 4 entrances, as you saw, I shall be provoked by them. And in these 4 descents shall my retribution for their deeds be accomplished. But in the 4th descent of 100 years, even 1 hour of the age, the same is 100 years. There shall be misfortune among the nations, but also for 1 hour there shall be mercy and honor among those nations. And I said, Eternal One, how long are the hours of the age? And he said, 12 hours have I ordained for this present age of ungodliness, to rule among the nations, and within your seed, and until the end of the times it shall be even as you saw. And now reckon, and understand, and look again into the picture. And I looked, and saw a man going out from the left side of the nations, and there went out men and women and children from the side of the nations, many hosts, and worshipped him. And while I still looked, there came many from the right side, and some of these insulted him, and some of them even struck him, but others, however, worshipped him. And as I watched, I saw Azazel approach him, and he kissed him on the face, and then stood behind him. And I said, Eternal One, who is the man insulted and beaten, who is worshipped by the nations and kissed by Azazel? And he answered and said, Hear, Abraham, the man you saw insulted and beaten, yet worshipped by many, He is the relief granted by the nations to the people who proceed from you. In the last days, in the 12th hour of the age of ungodliness. But in the 12th hour of my final age will I set up this man from your generation, whom you saw issue from among my people, and all who follow will become like this man, and such as are called by me will join the others, even those who will change within themselves. And as for those who emerge from the left side of the picture, the meaning is this: there shall be many from the nations who shall set their hopes upon him. But as for those whom you saw from your seed on the right of the picture, who insulted him and struck him, many shall be offended in him, but some shall worship him. And he shall test those of your seed who have worshipped him in the 12th hour, at the end, with a view to shortening the age of ungodliness. Before the age of the righteous begins to grow, my judgment shall come upon the lawless peoples through the people of your seed who have been separated unto me. And in those days I will bring upon all creatures of the earth 10 plagues, through misfortune and disease and the sighing of their grief. And this shall be brought upon the generations of men on account of the provocation and the corruption of mankind, whereby they provoke me. And then shall righteous men of your seed survive in the number which is kept secret by me, and will hasten the coming of the glory of my name to that place prepared beforehand for them, which you saw devastated in the picture. And they shall live and be established by sacrifices of righteousness in the age of the righteous. And they shall rejoice in me continually, and receive those who return to me in repentance. For great shall be the inner torment of those who have despitefully used them in this world, as they observe the honor placed upon my own in the day of glory. See, Abraham, what you have seen, and hear what you have heard, and take knowledge of all that you have come to know. Go to your heritage, and behold, I am with you unto the age. But while he was still speaking to me, I found myself once again upon the earth, and I said, Eternal One, I am no longer in the glory that is on high, and there is one matter that my soul longed to know and understand which has not been revealed to me. And he said to me, What your heart desired I will tell you, because you have sought to see the 10 plagues which I have prepared for the godless nations, and which have been predetermined at the passing over of the 12th hour of the age of the earth. Hear therefore what I divulge, and so it shall come to pass. First is the distressing pain of sickness. The second, conflagration of many cities. The third, the destruction and pestilence of animals. The fourth, hunger of the whole world and its people. The fifth, by destruction among its rulers, by earthquake and the sword. The sixth, with the multiplication of hail and snow. The seventh, wild beasts will be their grave. The eighth, hunger and pestilence will alternate with destruction. The ninth, punishment by the sword and flight in distress. The 10th, thunder and voices and destructive earthquake. And then I will sound the trumpet out of the air, and will send my elect one, having in him all my power in one measure. And he shall summon my despised people from all nations, and I will send fire upon those who have insulted them and who have ruled over them in this age. And I will give those who have covered me with mockery to the scorn of the coming age. And I have prepared them to be food for the fires of Hades, and perpetual flight through the air in the underworld, for they shall see the righteousness of the Creator, and those whom he now honors, and they shall be ashamed. For I had hoped that they would come to me in repentance, rather than loving strange gods. But they forsook the mighty Lord, and went the way that they willed to go. Hear therefore, Abraham, and see. For behold, in the 7th generation from you, they shall leave the land of their slavery, after they have been ill-treated, as it were for an hour of the age of ungodliness. And the nation whom they shall serve I will judge.